Hi friends! Today I will be sharing with you how I decide on and make pockets and tuck spots for junk journals. I am currently working in my retro space exploration themed journals, so that's where we will start today. That will be our little example that we use, but a lot of these ideas are able to be used in any type of junk journal. So here, I'm already in the middle of the book, but I'll go back in a second and show you what I've put in so far. I am adding a large die cut type shape to the inner edge of the back of a wallpaper page. And I'm going to create a large tuck spot type pocket. I call this a tuck spot pocket hybrid because it takes up a good part of the page, so I don't really consider it a tuck spot. I consider tuck spots more something that you would put in a corner. But I don't call this a traditional pocket either, just because it is the shape of something that I have cut out instead of a normal rectangle or typical pocket shape. So this is, I think it was just a round die cut that I found in a children's book about space, and it's showing some galaxies or nebula or something like that, and I thought it was really unique and interesting, and so I'm putting it on the back of this piece of wallpaper, partly to cover up the little printing that they put on the back of a wallpaper page. But you can put it on a blank page. You can put something like this on a book page with only words that you don't mind covering up, because there's not a lot of journaling space on this type of pages. And as with everything, I don't have this on camera sadly, but I do go ahead and go over to the sewing machine and just add a little decorative trim, if you will. I think I use a zigzag, and that not only just makes it more attractive to the eye, I think, in my opinion, it helps hold pages and cards and tags that you put in the tuck spot. I feel like it just holds them in a little bit better because it has something to grab onto. So that's just a little tip. Now when you do this sewing, it does make the paper harder to adhere to your surface. So whenever I do sewing on pockets like this, I always use my Fabri-Tac to glue it down. I just feel like that it creates a better hold, especially when you're trying to glue over thread, and in this case I'm trying to glue onto the back of pre-pasted wallpaper, so I wanted to ensure that that stuck and held well. And here I'm showing that you can put a little tag in it, and I decide in just a second to go back and add a little more glue because I felt like it was just leaning out a little bit too much if that is making sense to y'all. The pages in these space journals, 2 out of the 4 are very wide, and so I'm kind of having to go as that. So the first page you saw was just a double pocket, and there's a tuck spot, and here's a long pocket I made out of an image from a textbook, and here is an up tuck spot, again from a large image from a children's book. And here's another tuck spot that I put on a little bit of a more narrow page, and it's just it's more of a thicker image, so I didn't back it with anything. You don't want to back all of your tuck spots and pockets with cardstock or heavy paper, just because your journals will just get so full you won't be able to close them. So if the paper is sturdy enough to be a tuck spot on its own, go ahead and use it like it is. Okay, so here I have sort of an awkward page where I sewed 2 8.5 by 11s together, and it created a pocket on the other side, but this side right here where the black and white join is not a pocket. So I want to cover it up somehow, and I'm thinking that maybe I could use this moon pie box. I end up not using it after I trimmed it and everything, just because the moon pie box is very thick chipboard, and so I ended up putting that aside, and I will make tags or some other type of ephemera out of that. But as you can see, I'm just kind of playing with it to see where could it go. Is it too thick? Is it going to look awkward? A lot of it is just trial and error and just trying to figure out the way the book will flow, the way the pages will open and close smoothly. You don't want to make it hard for a page to turn because you've got something too thick in the spine. So I am going through my stack of pages now to see what else I can do with that area. That seems just a little awkward. Aha! I found a little offcut of some star paper, and I've decided to do a tall side pocket. Again, I'm just making sure that the page will close, and I don't always measure everything. Sometimes I just draw a line and cut. I just feel like I don't have to measure everything, you know? So to make it on this page, because I don't want the white to show, normally I would round the top outside corners, but I'm not this time. I'm just putting in the little divot that you would put to show that it is a pocket. And I'm using my Fabri-Tac again because this is a crucial part of the book that will have a lot of movement, and it will also have to adhere to that black zigzag stitching that you see there. So I want to make sure that it doesn't come up. I found, I think I've said this before, the older my Fabri-Tac glue gets, the longer it takes to dry. So a lot of my, I always have YouTube on when I'm working because a lot of my patience is tried when I have to let things dry like that. But if I have something, a video to watch, it's not so bad. I'm trying to figure out if I want to put anything here or not. Again, this is prime writing space, but again, this journal is so wide and so large that and has a lot of white space. I do leave a lot of white space in this journal, but I also want to create some really fun and interesting pockets. So I'm using the headline image of a story in a children's book about a rocket, and it fit just perfectly with a little room to spare. So now I'm trying to find a piece of cardstock that can go underneath it as a frame of sorts. I like to do this with pockets that are relatively thin, and also if the page just needs more color, you'll notice there's gray and white, and then next to it there's some lined paper. It's actually from a NASA notebook. So there's not a lot of color, and I wanted to bring a little bit of color, so I went and grabbed a piece of gold cardstock, and I thought this would work great. I've already measured that space where I was going to put it, and it was about 7.5 inches wide, so that's why I was able to cut that page so fast. That was off camera. I ended up cutting a little bit more off just because I was not able to to flip the page very well with it exactly 7.5. I like to ink my book page images that I use on pockets. I just think it creates a nice border. And of course with these journals, this is supposed to be sort of a vintage 50s, 60s space race age. So a lot of the things in this journal are inked. And of course I have to put the little pocket divot. This is not necessary, you don't have to do that, but I just feel like it makes it more obvious what it is. And I also inked the edge of the cardstock. I found that I tend to love to skip ahead and make the tags and the journaling cards first, but then I end up with way more than I need or not nearly enough, one of the two. So now I'm trying to be better about making my pockets and my tuck spots first, knowing that I'll tuck anywhere from 1 to 3, maybe 4 items in each thing, and that tells me how many tags and ephemera and other things like that I need to make. Pockets, it's not that I don't like making pockets, I just think tags and cards are more fun. So I have to be really diligent the first couple of days when I decorate journals to make sure I take care of the pockets first. What order do you do it in when you make your journals? Do you tend to just, well, I know a lot of you have a lot of your ephemera made ahead and you can just choose from a box of pockets and a box of cards, which is great. But when you have like a super themed journal like the space ones here, you know, I had nothing to pull from. I had to make everything from scratch. So I really had to sit down and think about what order I was going to do it so I would not be backtracking or over making or under making. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just very patiently holding down and making sure all the corners are glued down. Okay, we're going to keep flipping and see if we can find any other place. There's a pocket that I had already sewn in. So some of your pockets you'll need to think ahead and sew them. So make them by sewing 2 pages together before you assemble your journal. There was a fabric pocket that was a quick little snapshot of a fabric pocket. And here's a tuck spot using a little paper doll. So I showed that that's a possibility as well. I sewed him to the edge of a page. So here is a page with a lot of text at the top, and I decided to create a tuck spot on this one as well. And I've been really wanting to use this page. This is an Eloise Wilkins book, and it's about the night sky, or things that a baby sees when she looks out the window. So I end up rotating this one just because I thought it fit the page better. And this is a somewhat thin page as well, so you'll see in a second that I am going to back this one with a piece of paper. You can do cardstock if you'd like, but in this case I found that just a piece of scrapbook regular weight paper worked just as well. Most of the time if I'm going to sew, I only use a glue stick. If I'm not going to sew, I use a glue stick for majority of it, and then I'll run tacky glue around the outside edge just because the glue stick tends to want to lift up over time. And I'm going to create a little bit of a border here, and when I sew, I will sort of bridge those two edges together. You'll see in 1 second what I'm talking about. My birthday is next week, and I may or may not have a new sewing machine coming. I'm so excited. It's actually already here, and it's in the box, and I'm being good. My husband said I could open it early, but I'm gonna wait. So you can see how I sort of bridged the book page and the background page together, and I have to double check to make sure I'm gluing the right 2 sides. That's something that's kind of hard to undo if you mess it up. And then now I have a little upside down tuck spot, if you will, that's turned sideways. I just love this. These books are just so fun, and I feel like because of the nature of how the books are, the rules kind of go out the window, and I'm having so much fun decorating them. Here's another page, and I decided to do something here, but I don't want to go overboard. This is somewhat of a smaller page, so I want to make sure I just do something on the edge. And after looking through a lot of my book pages that I've cut out and pictures, I decided to do something using only colored cardstock. So I'm going to measure it really fast. I think it was 7 1/8. And I had already pulled several cardstocks in colors that I'm using in these journals. This is a beautiful aqua. And I'm going to make a side pocket that is about 2 inches wide by 7 1/8 tall. and then I decide to go ahead and round the corners on this one. Ink it up real fast. And then I'm going to decorate this one very simply. I grab some trim out of my trim drawer. That is just some silver rickrack that I got at Hobby Lobby. I will be using this throughout all of these journals to decorate. I love rickrack, and I found some silver rickrack, which I thought just looks super spacey. So I'm going to use Fabri-Tac to glue that down to the edge. I decided at the last minute to use my glue book. I don't know why I tend to want to just glue on top of anything. I was about to glue on top of my cutter, and that always goes badly. So I tend to make a big mess with glue. Isn't that rickrack so fun? There will be a lot of silver elements in these journals. I love it. I'm normally a gold girl, but I feel like with space stuff, you have to go silver. That rickrack was wanting to pop up on the ends, so I was having a little bit of a time with it. So a little side tuck pocket like this, side pocket I guess it would be, is perfect for small items like tickets, small photographs, really tiny tags, things like that. And this is the last signature, so I'm just making sure there's nothing else I need to add. It may be that I add stuff later on, but for now, I'm going to call this book finished. Time to make the tags. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this helped you as you decide how to make interesting pockets and tags. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.